Falsework is essentially temporary structure that's built to support the permanent structure.
Okay. All right. Preservation talk. Well, the pet cemetery is a little bit of a mysterious piece of the Presidio story. The idea was to give the community of families who lived here on post more of a home. Convincing people that protecting it through all of the construction that's ongoing, this is some very substantial engineering that's gone into making sure that it's protected from the overhead viaduct construction, was no small task.
It was kind of an odd request. I worked on phase 1 of this project. They needed me for phase 2, which is what's ongoing right now, so here I am. The falsework over the cemetery is rather large, so we had to span it with these pre-stressed, precast concrete beams.
I'm a military brat. I grew up inside the military. I lived in 14 different houses by the time I was 18. And it's a life of transience, of relinquishing. You're always giving something up. I was remembering my mother talking about her first child buried in Okinawa and what it was like a year later after the death to sail away and know she might never see that gravesite again.
There aren't very many places that commemorate the personal experiences of the Army families, the Army children, the Army spouses that passed through here. And the pet cemetery is one of those. And on its gravestones are sweet family moments that one doesn't traditionally associate with the Army.
is this? Geraldine.
That's a pretty serious gravestone.
That's a very serious gravestone. Oh, the Morrow family, 1965 is 1965.
Wow.
I'm an architect and a planner, and I've spent all my career dealing with historic buildings or historic contexts. And I do understand that while some people think that it was, it's many millions of dollars to protect this cemetery, that compared to the multi-millions of dollars for Doyle Drive, it's not that expensive.
My guess on the overall cost of the Falsework,
if we just went based on the dollars involved, historic preservation projects would seldom get done. And I think the cemetery is a great example of the cultural value that transcends the material costs that have to be dealt with in managing it in perpetuity.
When you're a child in the military, it's such a big machine, and you are the smallest, most insignificant part. You know that always. Seeing the size of that Doyle Drive construction project and this small cemetery protected by just this slab of concrete and these beams that people had determined to put up.
My father disembarked from the Bay Area to go to fight in Guam during World War II. I mean, when Ruth suggested that she wanted to bury Blinken here, I thought that was really a great thing because I was drawn to the site myself.
I think I mentioned earlier that I've done some projects with folks at the Presidio, and so I asked around about adding pets and was told that it was against the rules, but that the rules weren't really posted or monitored.
The pet cemetery now is officially closed, but if it's any consolation, the National Cemetery for people up the road is also closed.
I think that Blinken's soul is not among her ashes in the dirt, so I don't get upset about the fact that her remains might have been impacted by the construction. I don't think of it as a sacred site.
when we dismantled the Falsework, the protective cover, the big concrete beams over the pet cemetery, those beams will be removed in a manner similar to the way that they were put on there. So again, 2 cranes, and they'll lift them off to the side, and more likely than not, they'll just pulverize them there.
So there's Blinken right there, right?
Yeah,
Great shape.
it is in good shape.
Yeah.
So the copper hasn't really stained Well, in 2004, so a decade ago. God, I can't believe she's been dead for 10 years. Poor little thing. One of the first philosophies of preservation is you leave things in their original setting or original site. So preserving the site was a high priority, even if the setting has drastically changed. I can understand sort of the struggle and certainly can support the option that was chosen. And if Blinken were alive today, I don't think I would choose this site to bury my cat.
When you're a military brat and you turn 21, your ID card expires and you're no longer allowed into the community where you grew up. So to see the pet cemetery there being preserved and protected, it's a little bit of home.
I think the city of San Francisco and the different agencies who have cared for this place since have done a great job of maintaining its special status in the community, but nothing will ever really bring back what the Army does.